Let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself for a second. Have you ever seen a brand new pickup truck on the road, lifted, spotless, probably worth 70, maybe $80,000, and thought, how the hell does that person afford that? Because statistically, they probably don't. And that's not an insult. That's the scary part. Today, we're talking about how regular people are driving insanely expensive vehicles, why the math makes no sense, and how an entire system is built to make bad financial decisions feel normal, even smart. And if you think this video doesn't apply to you because you'd never spend that much on a car, that's exactly why you should keep watching. The car that costs more than a house down payment. Let's set the scene. You're driving to work. Traffic is slow. Next to you is a massive truck with chrome wheels, tinted windows, LED lights everywhere. That truck costs more than the down payment on most houses. Inside, heated leather seats, massive touchscreen, premium sound system. And the person driving it? They're not a CEO, they're not famous, they're not rich. They're a normal person with a normal job and an extremely abnormal monthly payment. So what changed? Because 15 years ago, this would have been unthinkable. Car payments have quietly become rent. Here's a number that shocks almost everyone. The average new car payment in the US is now over $700 per month. That's average. Not luxury, not exotic. Average. For trucks and SUVs, which most people buy, payments regularly hit $900 to $1,100. And some people, they're paying $1,200 a month for a car. That's more than rent in many cities. And somehow society just collectively said, yeah, that's normal. But wages didn't explode. People didn't suddenly get richer. So how is this happening? The first illusion, monthly payments. Here's the first trick, and it's the most powerful one. Dealerships don't sell cars. They sell monthly payments. Nobody walks in asking, how much will this cost me over 8 years? They ask, can I afford this per month? And that question changes everything. A $60,000 truck sounds insane, but $900 a month? That feels manageable. So how do they make that number look small? They stretch the loan. Loans that last longer than relationships. Car loans used to be 3 or 4 years. Now, 6 years is normal. 7 years is common. 8 years isn't rare. And yes, 10-year car loans exist. That should terrify you. Because stretching the loan doesn't make the car cheaper. It just hides the pain. You're not reducing the cost. You're postponing the regret. And by the time you realize what you signed up for, you're already stuck. The trap of negative equity. Let's fast forward a few years. You've been making payments. You're tired of the car. Something newer looks better. You check your loan balance and realize something horrifying. You owe more than the car is worth. This is called negative equity. And this is where most people get trapped. Instead of paying the difference, they roll that debt into a new loan. Now they're paying for the old car, the new car, and interest on both. Congratulations. You're officially on the financial hamster wheel. Why this doesn't feel insane anymore. Here's the disturbing part. None of this feels crazy anymore. If someone said they spent $1,200 a month on coffee, you'd stage an intervention. If they spent that on clothes, you'd call it an addiction. But on a car, well, you need transportation. That mindset didn't happen accidentally. Cars are no longer transportation. Their identity. Cars used to be tools. Now they're symbols. Your car says who you are, how successful you are, how hard you work. And once identity enters the picture, logic leaves the room. That truck commercial isn't selling horsepower. It's selling confidence, status, belonging. You're not buying a vehicle. You're buying validation. And validation is expensive. How people really afford these cars. So how do people actually make these payments simple? They sacrifice everything else. You post smaller apartments, no vacations, cheap food, no savings. Some people take second jobs, using the car to pay for the car. Think about that. You're working extra hours to afford something that's supposed to make your life easier. That's not freedom. That's debt wearing a steering wheel. The costs nobody talks about. Here's what most people forget to include: insurance, fuel, maintenance, repairs. A $60,000 truck doesn't get cheap insurance. Add full coverage, gap insurance, collision. You're easily at $200 to $300 per month. Fuel, another $300 to $400. Maintenance. Modern vehicles are complex and expensive. One repair can wipe out months of manageable payments, and most people have no emergency fund to cover it. So what do? Credit cards, personal loans, borrowing from their future. The real math. And it's ugly. Let's do a realistic example. A $55,000 truck, 7-year loan, 6% interest, monthly payment around $800. Sounds okay, right? Now add insurance, fuel, maintenance. Over 7 years, that truck costs over $130,000 at the end of it. It's worth maybe $15,000. You spent 6 figures to end up with a depreciating asset and no wealth. That's not a bad deal. That's financial self-sabotage. What that money could have done. Here's the painful comparison. If that $800 a month was invested instead, after 7 years, you'd have tens of thousands of dollars. Real assets, real options, real freedom. But investing is boring. Cars are emotional, and emotions are expensive. The final truth. So when you see that shiny truck on the road, don't envy it, because there's a good chance it's financed anxiety on wheels, and that boring, paid-off, reliable car you drive, that might actually be the flex. Outrow/CTA. If this video made you rethink car payments, debt, or what success really looks like, hit subscribe. We talk about money, psychology, and real life without the filters. See you in the next one.